Hello everyone, my name is Karina and I am a Master's of Art Education candidate as well as post-baccalaureate in process of getting my post-baccalaureate certificate this spring. I have to be honest, while working on this presentation, I realized that studio habits of the mind were always at the center of my creative process, such as when I would do anything, I would be looking at my on a daily basis surroundings and observing trees and branches and leaves. Sometimes I found beauty in rusted nails. I'm focused on people's faces, their shoes, um, their hands, and everything. Whenever I see something, I take a memory screenshot and then I use it in the future as an inspiration. As you see here, this is just my table, although I compiled it all together, but these are items and things that I have collected and that inspire me on a daily basis. And this is something that I hope to teach and share with my students I hope to teach them to be able to go outside and see beauty in the leaves and branches. And just when the sun rises to see how the light hits the trees so that they could be similarly inspired by what surrounds them and appreciate the beauty in everything that they see. And actually, this is one of the reasons why I have decided to be an art teacher, so I can share my passion with the students. This is another thing I have done in the past, which is, as you see, I have collected multiple insects, whether by my collection or my friends, and this is just a piece of my table. On my table, I have a drawing that I've done few years back of a few found objects and some insects which always interest me. This is a project that I actually did with students recently in my cohort, which was absolutely fabulous in my early field. I did a project on Let's Start a lesson on dream catchers, and the kids had to do weaving, and of course I brought a box of my found wood and tree branches and pine branches and left it without thinking that the students would be incorporating it. And to my surprise, when I came back the next day, actually, the teacher came, she sent me this photograph and the kids took a full advantage of it and incorporated it into their project. Developing craft, I think, is at the core of my thinking as an artist, and I think should be at the core of everyone, and especially something that should be taught to students. Taking care of your brushes, taking care of your tools is very important. As an artist, when I start the project, I clear my desk, I set up my pens, and I make sure my tools, my brushes are very clean. If I'm working with automotive paint and my spray guns, everything has to be clean. It is, and similarly, when you finish the project, I ensure that I clean my brushes, I clean and put away my tools, my paints. I think it's the most essential part of at least controlling something, of guaranteeing that you will, on your part, have a successful artistic experience. Because if your materials and tools are not properly cleaned, you will not be able to produce something that you have envisioned with similar success. And similarly, I hope to teach this, habit of taking care of your tools to students once I become a teacher. This is just an etching that I've done many years ago, and a process which I have fallen in love with. Originally, being a printmaker and an oil painter, I realized that I can no longer do this process once my daughter was born because of the toxic elements and such. So I had to find a new way of expressing myself and doing something that would similarly, in feeling, replicate the etching needle. After looking around, I finally found a material that actually one of my teachers introduced me to. It's a croquet pen by Robert Gillot. They're made in England and they're extremely flexible. But what's most important about them, the quill produces the most thinnest as a hairline, which is similar to an etching, and you can do cross hatching with it. and it's just extremely beautiful. And I discovered the paper pergamenta parchment where I could finally start experimenting with the medium. As it was a new medium at the time, I realized that I had to learn how to use it. Lots of playing around and making mistakes, but most importantly, I had to look and copy all the great masters that did etching, which is Goya, Piranesi, Rembrandt, and Klee. I copied the drawings, and this way I tried to study the technique. Although the drawings often I found were often looked at least similar to etching, it didn't give me the same satisfaction as etching would, and I started searching for finding a material that would. I felt that the drawings, as you see here, would lack sensitivity that etching would, or at least when I would be drawing it. I didn't see the same. I didn't enjoy it as much as the etching. Here you see, as usually, I study a skull because I think the light and dark is great, and cicada, nymph, and this are my on the left side are my pen and ink pens, nibs, and little doodles that I made. So as I was taking last semester art curriculum class, I was asked to find a medium. There was a new medium that I wanted to work with. And it happens to be that I never worked in a jelly plate, so I called, but I heard about it. I called my very good friend, who's an exceptional artist, to see if she would give me a lesson or a demonstration in jelly plating. And this, in front of us, is a part of the lesson. I had a sketch which we were able to transfer in jelly plate, and from that print on paper while trying new mediums and colors in jelly plate and printing. This, what I saw during the process was this freedom that I never seen before in any other process. Freedom that allowed me to keep the drawing and working into it. I love drawing on tracing paper. I don't know why, but the flexibility just, it's just very special. So I hope to experiment with this medium further, as I have chosen printmaking as my medium along during the next few weeks of this class. And this is another piece by my friend Annelies van Dalman, and I'm pretty sure this is actually a linacot that she did. And this is another piece by Annelies van Dalman, and this piece I just recently purchased. It was just so beautiful, and the colors was so incredible. It's actually a collagraph where she kept building and building glue and other materials, carving away and putting paint and color, and she said it took her quite a bit of time to do this, but I think it's just so luscious and beautiful. The colors is incredible. Envisioning is a very important part of the creative process, at least for me. This is I learned that I had to train myself to envision and create images in my head when I started working on the murals. I had to be clear of my idea before I would create a sketch of or a concept. It was very important to be able to dream and visualize what I wanted to create. This actually sketch of what I presented, and the black and white is actually proportions of the magnets that I wanted to include in the piece. This was a very interesting piece because I had to stretch my mind and imagine further, because I was creating a magnetic board against the background of the Delaware Canal. It was done for Delaware and Lehigh Historical Society. I wanted to create magnets and create something that children would, of all the abilities and the cultures and ethnicity and races, would be able to relate to. So when I drew images, I thought that magnets would be split in half, the bodies, so that you could take a torso from a girl in a wheelchair and place it on a girl on a bicycle, and vice versa. So is with the boys. The gratitude was incredible, because when I saw the pictures of children playing with a magnetic board, I saw that it succeeded. They were able to play and experience and learn about diversity and cultures and different abilities, which is most gratifying, satisfying part of being an artist or a designer. Engaging and persist is another habit of mine, that artistic habit that I have practiced throughout my whole career. Doing murals, I had to find a way always how to create a mural, and that was given to me by a client, but most importantly, how to compose and put together all the information, historical events, timelines into uh, one image, which is here, as you see, it was done in Capitol House. It was a history of Helene Folds Hospital, which is the current Trenton Capitol House emergency room. And it was from beginning of the history, 1800s, up to 2022. And that was a big task because I had to fit in all this historical fact in a very narrow hallway, and and that was a challenge. Another challenge was creating a mural for history of communication at Richborough Elementary School in their library. Once more, I was given 30 communication elements, and I had to figure out a way of how would I put it together. I didn't never actually wanted to just simply place images on a wall. For me, it's always important to connect the images with one another through a story. Somehow weave a story that one image will take you into another, and so forth. Like a boy was communicating through pigeons, and so it was very important for me to create a line of doing it, to create a storyline. I would have to start this process by researching and looking at different images and history, and until I would find a hook in the image that I would like. And from there on, I think my imagination would start rolling, and I would finally envision what I would like to do eventually. It was a composition. Then I would create a sketch using Canson tracing paper, which is I found an incredible tool, and tracing over and tracing over, tracing over until I would get my composition right, cutting and gluing images, and then always using a Derwent pen from England, which I found is incredibly flexible, going from, you can get from really dark to really light by just the pressure of your hand. And the paper is so wonderful because even if tracing paper, if you get away from the original thought, you can always go back to the image by pulling it up. So this is how I was able to create the image, and then sometimes I was fortunate enough to be far away to actually project the image. Other times I would just have to do free drawing, looking at my sketches. Reflecting is another very important part of being an artist. Being able to critique yourself and looking at your work from outside critically, and being honest with yourself, and being brave enough to let your friends who are artists to look and give you input, which sometimes you may or may not like. As you see in this drawing, which I would never was happy with, I realized that after I complete a drawing, I lose the flexibility, and my images very often become stagnant once I stop doing freehand drawings. I realized I love doing freehand, laying in images for murals with just raw cyan, or just sketching things with a pen and ink or pencil. But once it comes to final result, I lose that enthusiasm. So at the moment, I'm looking still to look for something and find something that will allow me this fun play, and while I'm experimenting, I hopefully maybe jelly plating will be one of them. Understanding the art worlds. Image here was actually something that I encountered a few days ago while looking at my most resourceful, inspiring place, Instagram, where I saw this artist on Art Daily, which is an Instagram post that I always follow. And this is an artist, her name is Tanya Gameska, who does sculptures. The hands are actually sculptures, and she paints in the background. And it's just pretty incredible how she creates these three-dimensional pieces. I think it's essential for us as an artist to look at other people's work, to learn, to see how far you can push, and what are other artists are doing. And I think because of the internet, we have so much ability to see what happens around the world. The mediums, it's endless possibility. I never cease to surprise me. Once I follow a colossal online, I follow Art Daily Dose, and I follow street art because I'm fascinated by street artists from all over the world. And also, it's very important to be connected to the art organization in your community, such as Artworks in Trenton or New Hope Arts, and go to exhibitions, because then you can see what artists around you are doing. You can talk to them and discuss your ideas, their ideas, and such. This is some of the pieces, just snapshots from Art and Daily Dose. I mean, it's just fascinating. I don't think I can just pick anybody on this image. It just, the up and above, there's an artist who actually creates, turns body parts into visual images. And on the left, you see, actually, he's a street artist, but he creates this cutout murals and places them in a forest that have been affected by industrialization and global warming. And the next slide is actually on the left, is one of my favorite street artists, is Swoon. She started in New York, and she creates these ginormous linocuts that she then pastes on the streets. This one is in Hong Kong. She uses wheat paste to apply them, to glue them to the wall. And on the right is, although it says Colossal Magazine, actually a screenshot from a street art page, which I absolutely love. These two pieces are one that I found on the flea market by Collins, and he is an artist that passed away from Philadelphia. And on the right is a piece by my very good friend and an artist, Megan Hayes, who uses stencils, wood, and automotive paints to create her beautiful paintings. Expressing, it's very important for me. Creating work which conveys a feeling, an idea, is always at the core of everything I do. If the piece does not have a feeling or emotion or movement, or it's stagnant and lifeless, I feel that's it. It's not worth it. At least my pieces. I often see students unable to move past their original drawing. They're afraid, so I tell them that it's okay. You can move on. You can make a change. It's paint and only an eraser. And if you make a mistake, you'll just learn from it. I find that students have so much creativity, and it's untapped. It is very important for us, our teacher, to nurture it and not stampede over it. And again, it's one of the reasons that have driven me to be an art teacher in the future. This is a piece that I have created a while back. A portrait, and here you see on the right is a piece from the History of Communications mural, where you see a blind, I hope to show that it was a Muslim girl, and she's using Braille as her communication device, and a Jewish boy writing. And so that's what I wanted to see and what I wanted to show. While in the back you have hieroglyphics. And the next piece is actually, I did a workshop with kids, and just with found objects, and it was phenomenal to see how much they could create and imagine. And on the right is actually my daughter, who picked up a leaf and a piece of orange peel and painted this beautiful fish. Being able to stretching and exploring is another important piece of being an artist. Every time I work on a new project, whether it's drawing, painting, I try to push myself beyond my comfort zone, beyond what I already know or can do. I try. If I stumble, that's okay. I experiment, it's okay. I just learn more. I move forward. And as I said, paint is an eraser, and I try to tell this to students, and I hope I will be able to share this with them as I become an art teacher. And finally, this is a quick sketch I done recently in the woods, once more on a tracing paper and my favorite Derwent pencil. Thank you very much.